Hello, welcome to the 15th day of May 2025. My name is Kurt, and this is my Good Life meditation. This is an activity that I do every morning about 6 a.m. Japan time to remember my life objectives and principles, those which are outlined in my book, Going Alone. I also use the time to think about yesterday and how I did with any challenges or opportunities that were noteworthy, or talk about any, weather circumstances in life, not necessarily rain or storm or clouds or sunshine, but how is the general atmosphere of life at this time. Sometimes you can just sense changes, or you can sense stability, right? It's interesting to make note of those things. And I'll go over the 8 objectives of my creed, and then talk about my plans for the day. First of all, welcome to new subscribers. Then also I want to say thank you for your support. You're watching this video, your direct support as a YouTube member or as a Patreon supporter is greatly appreciated. You help to fuel the adventures. Okay, a quick disclaimer, I do talk about sensitive subjects in this video. This isn't a video about Japan necessarily, although this is Japan happening behind me. It's my backyard over there, and that's the rice field behind me. All right, so as for yesterday and last night, boy, I stopped talking about the night, haven't I? Used to be that talking about the nighttime was an important part of this exercise because I had so many awful nights. During my working career, the stress of work kept me awake at night and caused me so much trouble. I couldn't sleep, I couldn't get good rest as a result, and that compounded the issues during the day, which made it harder to sleep. But those days seem to be gone. So it turns out that my sleep issues were work all along. As for the fatigue I sometimes feel while I'm driving, that still happens from time to time, but nothing like before. Totally manageable. So all along it was work. Surprise, surprise. Okay, so as for yesterday, on the column of my notes for the day, last 24 hours, I only have 2 notes here. Nothing really surprised me or challenged me yesterday. Let me tell you what I did yesterday. Yesterday was a very interesting day. If you follow this retirement journey of mine, I'm a little more than 5 months in, and it's had its ups and downs, mostly ups, but some downs. Mostly the downs are significant downs. The downs are the types of downs that if I don't recover from these particular downs, then that's it for me. My life could potentially crater. I mean that in the most sincere manner, and I'm not just saying from my own experience. This is from correspondence that I've had with others. I have a pretty heavy back channel of email. People write to me a lot, and people in my circumstance, I'm talking to a lot of people in their late 50s, early mid 60s, or beyond, who are retired, or thinking of, or close to it, sharing their experiences. Not a small number of them want to actually retire in Japan. I think that's where that's coming from. And a lot of people describe the same thing, or they recount anecdotes of others that they've known who, when they face retirement, they either find their footing and they enjoy their retired life, or many of them, and I don't hear about a middle ground too often, or many of them fall down hard and wind up either going back to work or doing things like applying the heavy application of alcohol to their lives to dull and numb the emptiness that comes from being retired and not knowing what to do with yourself. It appears to be a thing. So I've faced this challenge myself in my own retirement path in the last 5 months, and I've chronicled it in this video series as well as in my Retiring in Japan videos to a lesser degree. This is the more appropriate venue for that. So one of the things that I'm trying to do is to mollify the ennui that comes of having a free time without directed purpose, is to apply directed purpose, to fabricate and apply directed purpose in life. There's lots of things that can be done, volunteer work, projects, etc. But a lot of these don't have the seeming mandate that comes of work, and that's the thing that seems to be missing with me. So I've tried, my Retiring in Japan series seems to be doing very well. It's the other video that I upload typically once a day, if not a few times a week, a few times a week, if not once a day. It's on the other end of the day. I upload this video in the morning and I upload the other one, Retiring in Japan, at 4 p.m. in the afternoon. I used to be an adventurer here in Japan, and so I've kind of melded those two together into using the interest in the retirement element, particularly the Akiya interest, the old empty houses, to use Akiya Mart, which is a website that I've been gifted a free subscription to by the owners of the website, just because I talk about their channel a lot, and they call me a power user, so they gave me a free subscription. So I appreciate that free subscription. So I use it to find houses in the mountains surrounding Japan, surrounding Shizuoka City here, and I go out and have a look at them, and then in the course of that, wrap an adventure around it, a Retiring in Japan adventure. And that's what I did yesterday, in earnest, really for the first time since coming back to Japan. First time to go up into the mountains by myself on an adventure. And it was a very fruitful day. So what does this have to do with the stuff about not knowing what to do with yourself in retirement? Well, this gives me something very useful and fruitful to do in retirement. So if I do this a couple of times a week, that yields plenty of adventure, plenty of content to share on YouTube, plenty of a sense of purpose, which is this Retiring in Japan journey sharing, encouraging others along the way, answering questions that I get so many of, particularly by email. All of this. LinkedIn in particular has proven to be a very fertile place for comments regarding and questions and observations regarding people who are along the same journey as me. I think it's because my connection base on LinkedIn is so many working IT professionals like myself who have something about us that seems to have that similar same interest. Anyway, so yesterday's observations, yesterday's two notes, had nothing to do with challenges yesterday, because I didn't really have any. They had, although I did have one. I had the challenge of, the discomfort of driving, which I'm climbing on top of that challenge and managing a fourth right. So I'm doing well on that one. But here's the two notes that I have. One was balance in the field, and the other one was a good structured day. And I know what those mean. Sometimes I don't remember why I wrote things down, but I remember these two. The balance in the field speaks to the fact that while I was out and about, I was exploring the house I saw yesterday. It was in a village called Takumi, in the foothills of the Japan Southern Alps, about a 45 minute drive from central Shizuoka City in the mountains. And it's a very quiet place, populated by scarecrows more than people. Very well crafted scarecrows, very happy scarecrows, talking, animated, doing animated gestures, clustered together in groups, and there's even one fishing. Very interesting place. So I walked all about the village, and I felt really in tune and balanced. Unlike when I used to be there. Remember, balance is one of the objectives of my creed. Objective number 8. When I used to do this, more than 10 years ago, when I was younger, and go into villages like that, I would feel nervous because I knew that I was a bull in a china shop, or a foreigner in a high functioning, if not an energetic or active, Japanese community, a mountain village. I've changed somehow, matured, I think, quieted, slowed down, learned how to be. I've quieted so many of the demons that once haunted me. My mind is, even though I do struggle with some things, purpose, and namely after my career is done and my child raising days are done, I'm much more at peace than I ever was when I was younger. So that was evident yesterday in walking through the village, and it lent the experience a sense of immediacy that I don't remember before. Also, being retired, I didn't feel like and knowing that I can do this any day that I want, and knowing that there's no hurry, took away the urgency that I have to, fold in some meaningful adventure in the, half day that I spent there, which I could have spent the whole day. I could have spent the whole night if I wanted to. I'm free. That had an impact too. Also, finally, the second item there, the good structured day. I really felt like I made good use of the day yesterday. One of the best, well-used days of since returning to Japan, insofar as getting up early, 4 a.m., engaging with YouTube comments, responding to comments in email, etc., having a good walk in the morning. Oh no, I didn't walk in the morning. I took the dog and we went out. We had a good structured day in the mountains, and I got back, and then we went to Mochi Muni for an ocean swim, and I got back around 1 o'clock. Yumiko wasn't here. She was out shopping. And then I worked in the garden. It was a good structured day. It was a good use of time. A good use of retired time. All right, now as for my creed, 8 objectives and 1 principle. The 8 objectives are as follows. To be always ready to die. To have my affairs in order, my relationship sound, my life's work complete. And they are. Number 2, make good and effective use of time so that I'm not, taking my life for granted. Number 3, to develop and maintain good and sound life principles and objectives. 4, to cultivate good emotional reactions to the challenges and the opportunities that I meet through the course of the day. 5, to perform good actions relative to my creed. 6, to recognize true limits and true opportunities, so I do not ask more of myself than I am capable, nor do I neglect those things that are within those worthwhile activities that I deem that are within the scope of my reach, my capability, and my obligation. Number 6, to recognize, number 7, to do just one thing at a time, and do the thing slowly and deliberately and carefully. Like I was walking yesterday. It was such deliberate walking through the villages yesterday. I can still, in my mind, rehearse it like it was just yesterday. Number 8 is to keep my balance, like I said before, in both body and mind, so that I'm not stumbling through life, but walking deliberately and standing forthright. Okay, now 1 principle, like I promised. Here's my book going along. And I think we left off on principle number 7 last time. Let's take a look. No, here we are, number 9, the pirate ride. Okay, it's in the chapter titled The Good Life. You can read this book for free on goingalone.org. I set up that website specifically so that people don't have to pay for the book. The pirate ride. And there's a quote. And it's a strange name for a principle, right? But maybe it'll come clear. And he's awake who thinks himself asleep. John Keats. And this next part is the part I wrote. There is no good reason to imagine we are anything but atoms and molecules and compounds and organs and muscles and limbs and brain and mind, instantiated through energy borrowed of the sun and the internal heat of the earth in alignment with the inertia of the universe. That is it. In a sense, a very crude sense, we are complex chemical reactions, natural processes, unwinding through brief years, months, and days towards some conclusion with which a sufficiently powerful computer algorithm might one day plot and predict. We are decision engines, driven by the universe at large. In a sense, our destiny was always set, with our deliberations and decisions being just some distinct moments of seeming agency along our chemical unwinding from conception to death, a pathway we could hardly avoid or choose otherwise, a route decided not by us, but instead by the complex orchestrations of a universe which delivered us into life and mindlessly conspires during every moment we live to nudge and jostle us into every decision and action we vainly think our own. Life, a purposeless river-like meander. We live, we experience, we think, we decide, and we move, but never truly of our own volition, and always on the path of our law-bound chemical unwinding. Life, therefore, is like a Disney theme park pirate ride, an unintentional horror, joy, and amusement in which the robot pirates and the living riders are one. We live our lives then, seemingly along invisible tracks we can never jump or escape, for we lack utterly the will to do anything but stay our course. And though we can make any decisions we like, we can never have made any decisions other than the ones we did. So what that principle suggests is that we are, that we don't have free will, basically, that we are complex chemical reactions unfolding along pathways that are bound by physics and biology and chemistry. And we gain the sense that we have some agency, but in fact, this is an artifact that is quite convincing, but nevertheless helps to further the survival of our species. We are like, and this is what I call the pirate ride, the pirates at the Pirate of Caribbean ride at Disneyland, which sit there. If you've been through the ride, and I've been through it since I was a boy, and then as an adult, and now as an older man, it's unchanging, right? The pirates sit there and they go back and forth, and they shoot, and they laugh, and they chase the women, and the dog holds the keys. The robot dog holds the keys while the man beckons from the jail cell. And all of that happens, and we know that those are robots following their programming and their mechanical necessities. But we don't see that in ourselves. We see ourselves as something else. But in fact, we're not. We couldn't be anything other than we are. This doesn't mean that the universe is determined, but we are, as they say, compatible with everything that's happening all around us in the circumstance of the moments in which we live. That's the pirate ride, which is a sobering thought if you abide it and believe it, as I do. It's in fact it's quite sobering when you can really internalize that. Controversial for sure, though, too. Okay. Now, the last thing I want to do is go over what I'm going to do for the next 24 hours, and I'm calling today a shipping day. I had a sale in the store, and I need to ship it, so I'll be putting that together and getting that order out today. Oh, what store, Kurt? Well, my YouTube store. So you can find all kinds of interesting little antique items. I call it Softypapa's Shelf. If you go to my YouTube homepage and then click on the store tab, and you'll see all the stuff there. And I'll hang 2 or 3 items off the bottom, antique items in addition to my books. I'm going to do one of my books off the bottom of this video after I upload it. All right, that's it for today. I wish you all the best. Oh, let me read the comments. I forgot. Erica's growing. Hi, Erica. Hope all's fab. Yeah, I'm doing good. Chunky Tanker 81. Greetings from the UK, Kurt. Hi, Chunky Tanker. Hey, Sam. Good morning. Waking up at sunrise is the best thing ever. It is a good time to get started. I was already took a 2-mile hike up to the temple, and did my exercises along the way. So the day's off to a good start. Thank you for your nice words, Sam. I do appreciate that. Oh, hi, Heather. Hey there, Heather. How you doing? Heather, I do appreciate that photo you sent. I loved seeing the kokeshi and the little framed item and the little bell, the Kawara bell there. Those were really nice, and I'm keeping an eye out for other things. I'll be at the antique flea market this weekend, or maybe going to view a few antique stores. And boy, there's sure a lot of interest in that. When I share about the antique stores, people really, they send me cards and letters. They really like to see more. So we'll be doing more of that. And I know that you've got a couple of things. You sent me a message about a couple of things you're like, keep your eye open for, especially art items. I like that too. All right, well, I'm going to sign off, everybody. Upload a couple of things. Yumiko should be getting up soon. We'll take the dogs for a walk, get started on our day. I wish you all the best. A lot of my family like them. Oh, I'm glad to hear that, Heather. That's wonderful. I would say be safe, but not too safe, but you all can be as safe as you want to be. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.